Hey, this is Steven with KiwiboxDotCom. Right now I am talking with Israel Houghton. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, my friend. Thank you.
Excellent. So let's start out by talking about The Power of One. It's a very jubilant, celebratory album. What do you hope people get out of listening to this album?
Well, I mean, there are certain themes that ring out through it very intentionally. So I hope that the takeaway is this sense of hope and encouragement in a time where we all could use it, you know, and that beyond the hope and encouragement that comes out of being a part of sort of a worship experience on this recording, that it also stirs people to act. That you know, it doesn't just stop when the CD stops, but that, you know, the theme that's ringing through Power of One of, like, you know, the prayer that almost resonates in it that says, "Let me be the one to start a revolution. Let me get out there and be the change that I want to see." You know, that does something. That it inspires somebody to be kind to the, you know, person next to them. And I say this all the time: like, changing the world doesn't necessarily mean I got to get a passport and cross the ocean. Sometimes it just means crossing the room and showing kindness, or crossing the street and showing kindness to somebody else. That's really how changing the world starts. It starts with you changing your world, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, listening to the album, I can tell there's a lot of different musical influences. There's bits of Motown soul, there's rock, there's even reggae. What would you say is the overall sound of the record? Is there one specific sound?
Well, I think it's just good news. You know, I think people really always want to try and categorize something, and I love not being real categorizable. I don't know if that's a word, but I sort of like that you can't quite categorize it. You know, it's just like it's good music, it's hopeful music, it's encouraging, it's good news, wrapped up in you know, in melodies. And yeah, I kind of, you know, believe it or not, I'm being very true to myself in the sense that, you know, I was a black kid in a white family in a Hispanic community. So I'm being very true in the sense of I had tons of, you know, cultural and stylistic and musical influence and expression flowing through my life since I was a little kid. And so I draw from all of those things when I'm writing. Just, you know, if the song calls for a certain passion, you know, or a certain delivery, it may be more rocky, it may come across more soulful, it may come across, you know, more churchy or whatever. And so I kind of like being able to draw from all of those and realize that in keeping with what I really feel my core values are, it's in being intentionally cross-cultural, intentionally cross-generational, deliberately cross-denominational, and sort of helping all faiths and all people and all backgrounds and all ages come together around, you know, good news music.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know that this album, as your previous albums, kind of are based and are inspired by your relationship with God. Do you think that someone who doesn't necessarily have a strong connection with God could kind of take in the music as somebody who shares that same connection that you do?
I think so. I mean, certainly there's a certain, you know, core of faith within our music. There's no question about that, and we don't apologize for that at all. Mm-hmm. And there's a certain sort of theological base, certainly, that comes out of our belief, which, again, I think you should do what you believe. I think you should be true to that. At the same time, you know, hope doesn't need the four walls of a church to be effective. Change and encouragement and love and life and joy is not monopolized by the church. It is a life thing. And so I try and make sure that the music, and I've had several experiences with being outside of church settings, trying to do my music and realizing, man, I am not connecting at all here. Mm-hmm. Because we're using sort of our country club church rhetoric and cliche and the language that we only understand inside the four walls of church, which has really begun this sort of drive in me that says, we need to be more relevant to the world around us. And that doesn't mean we got to change our message, that we become diluted in what we believe, but that we rest on themes like love and hope and being kind to one another. And so the power of one really embodies that. Like, whether you believe what I believe or whether theologically we agree, what we can agree on is that we need love, man. Everybody needs love. And regardless of where they stand politically or theologically or whatever, those of us who understand just the power of being human beings requires a certain, act of justice and kindness and social responsibility. And so I think that is not just limited to the church. And the more I see this, the more I feel this, the more I'm writing songs for everyone. I don't know how to put that.
Wonderful. Well, I saw you perform at Joe's Pub last month, and I saw that you brought your son up on stage with you. How long has he been performing for?
Well, he's 7, so to hear him tell it, he's been performing, since he came out of the womb, basically. But he loves the stage. He loves, hanging out with us and being around us. And matter of fact, he gets bummed out if I don't bring him up, And I'm always careful about that, because I don't want people to go, oh, look at Israel, he's working his son. And it's not that at all. There have been some times where time ran out or whatever, and we're not doing the big closing thing, and he's on the side of the stage crying because he didn't get to come up on stage.
Oh.
So he's a pretty fearless little guy, and loves sharing that with me. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, obviously, I'm sure it's up to him, but if it were up to you, would you want him to follow in your footsteps and kind of pursue a career in performing once he grows up?
Well, I mean, with my generational mindset, like, I love thinking generationally. I can't help but snicker when I think, okay, so Israel and New Breed could actually live a long time because he shares the same name as I do. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, if he comes to me and says, Dad, I really have a passion for accounting, I want to be an accountant, Mm-hmm. I don't understand that passion, Creative people and accountants never really get along too well. So, but at the same time, as a father and as a parent, I'm saying, I want you to pursue whatever you're passionate about. So if it ends up being music, obviously there are things I'll be able to help you with. If it's accounting, I'm going to be no help at all. But I think he's definitely drawn to, music and performance and people. Sonny Boy's never met a stranger in his life. I mean, we were in L.A. the other day. We're in line at Pink's famous hot dog stand in L.A. And next thing I know, he's playing Thumb Wars with this perfect stranger who's in line with him, and they're just falling in love with the guy. And I'm like, and they're like, this is the coolest kid we've ever met. And so it goes beyond music for him. He just loves being around people, mm-hmm. and he truly is fearless, which I guess is a blessing and a bit of a concern for me at the same time.
Yeah. Well, I guess just to wrap things up here, what else should we expect from you? Maybe before and after the album drops. Is there anything else in the works? I know you were just shooting a video.
Yeah, we shot the video on Monday, and that was great. A lot of fun. We've done this really cool concept video. I know we're working on treatments right now for Power of One as well. And with Great Prayer, the song we did with Mary, mm-hmm. looks like we'll be doing a video for that as well. And then, where I really live and am very comfortable is in the whole live concert video context. So we're also in the works of doing something with that as well.
Excellent. Well, Israel, thank you so much for talking again with me today. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, man, my pleasure, Steven. My pleasure.
Yeah, all right, and you have a nice day.
Okay, you too.
All right, bye-bye.